BioVivacious. I'm Sebastian. BioVivacious is a YouTube channel dedicated to clear fundamentals of biosciences and make the subject exciting. Welcome to a session on protein metabolism. So, when we speak about protein metabolism, please understand that carbohydrate along with the triacylglycerol forms major part of the energy requirement of our cell. About 90% of the energy is produced or made available by carbohydrates and triacylglycerol. So the remaining 10% of the energy requirement of a cell is given by the proteins. Now, these proteins, it can come in different forms. The proteins can come in different forms. It may be coming in the form of endogenous protein, that is from our diet. So, it can come from diet. It may be the internally produced protein. So, internally we can produce amino acids, let's say that through glycolysis, through TCA cycle intermediates. So, all of them produce amino acid. So, therefore, from diet it comes and internally we produce amino acids. So, all this becomes part of the amino acid pool of the body. So, this is our source of amino acid. Now, this amino acid, there is a regular turnover of protein in our body, regular turnover. So, now this regular turnover depends on a number of factors. It depends on the aging of the person, depends on the conditions like pregnancy, recuperating from a disease, whether the person is growing. All these are factors that will affect the regular turnover of protein. Roughly about little more than 2% of our body weight there is a turnover, about 2% of the body weight. So let us see how this 2% we divide this 2%. So for example, let us assume it is about 200 gram of protein is the regular turnover, 200 gram. So this line is representing the 200 grams. In the first 100 gram, okay, 100 gram of protein is nothing but myofibrils. It is a myofibril protein, is the muscle protein. 50 grams is nothing but our digestive enzymes. Okay. Now we are left with already 150 are over. We are left with the remaining 50 grams. Out of the 50 grams, about 20 grams is what we call it the small intestinal protein. So that accounts for about 20 grams. So now the remaining 15 grams is nothing but 15 grams is hemoglobin protein. That is regularly getting degraded. 15 grams of hemoglobin is getting degraded. So you are left with the 15 grams. Now this 15 grams becomes all other proteins. It can be proteins from RBC proteins. It can be the leukocyte protein. It can be the hormones. All these forms the remaining 15%. You see how well it is distributed. This 200 grams of protein, which is a daily turnover, how it is distributed. One important aspect of protein metabolism that we need to keep in mind is protein is slightly different from other biomolecules. You overconsume carbohydrate or lipids, it can be stored. Whereas if you overconsume proteins, it cannot be stored. It has to be degraded. So some of the protein which we consume in our diet, it is incorporated in our body. The rest will be excreted in our excreta through the urine. So this will be excreted as urea. So therefore, now let us see what is the overall framework of this metabolism of protein which we are going to see. From the total turnover of the protein, about 75 to 80% of the protein is reutilized. 75 to 80% is reutilized. Now you are left with only 20 to 25%. So 20 to 25% protein. What is the fate of this? What is the fate of this 20 to 25% protein? So this protein will undergo proper oxidation. So which means first and foremost the amino group is removed. Okay, the amino group is removed from the protein through deamination reaction. Now you know that ammonia is toxic, so therefore it has to be removed. It has to be detoxified. How is it detoxified? This is converted to urea and then excreted from our body. So liver will make urea and it is excreted in urine through kidneys. So that is once the amino group is removed, you are left with the carboxylic acid. Okay. So the carboxylic acid, the carbon skeleton, so that carbon skeleton is the most appropriate word, carbon skeleton. What happens to this carbon skeleton? Two things can happen to the carbon skeleton. One possibility, some of this carbon skeleton can be utilized for glucose production. You would have seen it in earlier sessions. So it can be utilized for glucose, production of glucose. And some of the carbon skeleton will undergo oxidation through TCA cycle. So it will remove CO2 and it is converted to water and it will also produce energy. So this is how the complete breakdown of amino acid takes place. So this is regularly happening. Now remember, we need to remember something very, very important, that is about nitrogen balance. Now if the nitrogen or the protein intake, if the protein intake is more than the output, okay, if the intake of protein is more than the output, so we say that it is a positive nitrogen balance. If the intake is less than the output, intake is less but output is more, so we say it is a negative nitrogen balance. So these are the concepts that we need to understand before we jump into understanding protein metabolism. Also remember, if the protein which we consume in our diet, that is the endogenous protein, once it is consumed, it will be digested, it will be absorbed. Absorption is through a sodium dependent mechanism. We will explain that in another video. So once it is absorbed, this amino acids, the main function is to get incorporated into the structure of protein. Remember, all amino acids which we have are in the L configuration. So the L form of amino acid gets incorporated into proteins. Before we get into all that metabolic aspects of protein, let us look at two important aspects of protein, in the role of protein in synthesizing few polypeptides. Let us deal with that. Therefore, the amino acid which is produced endogenously as well as exogenously has several functions to perform in our body. We will be looking at these functions in the future videos.